G'day, welcome to Godless Australian. Boo 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 boo. I'm just going to do a very quick video, which never happens, as we all know. And this is unscripted. I have no idea what I'm about to say, so if I say something ridiculous, please point it out in the comment section below. But the other day, Godless Cranium, which I definitely recommend you guys go and check him out. He's really, really good. Posted on Twitter this video. This is a response to the article that was put out by the New York Times about the imminent destruction of 1 million species. Personally, I think that number is a little bit low because we don't know how species interact with other species. So if one particular species collapses, that might have a flow-on effect to other species. So I think personally it could quite easily be a low figure, terrifyingly. So I really find that's horrible. That's a horrible thing to think of, in that humans are looking at destroying 1 million more species. Anyway, that's depressing. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the abortion bills that Ohio have decided to try and push through, or has pushed through. I'm not entirely sure of how it's going at the moment. I know people are fighting against this abortion bill. I'm not going to turn this into an abortion debate. Please do not do it, but he does talk about it in this video. But for those of you who don't know, Ohio wants to bring in, or has passed, for fetuses that are older than 6 weeks of age. So for those of you who don't know anything about biology, 6 weeks of age in pregnancy is usually way too young for women to figure out if they're pregnant. Most women find out about 8 to 10 weeks of age. They also want to ban abortions for people who have been raped. There is a little girl who is 11 years old who is being forced to carry her rapist's child. So at that age, she's very, very young. Her body is not big enough to be able to carry a child. There is apparently a 50% chance that she may die from this pregnancy, and yet she cannot abort, and I find that disgusting. They're also talking about bringing in the death penalty for abortion because that makes logical sense, and they're also bringing in 30 years if a woman is deemed to have forced miscarriage, which is really, really dangerous, because if the woman had just a normal miscarriage but she was in an abusive relationship, she might be asked or told that she forced an abortion and may end up getting 30 years in jail. So basically they're criminalizing biology, and I'm sure you can figure out what side of the fence I'm on, but I find this law reprehensible and disgusting. Anyway, so I want to talk about this video that Godless Cranium put up. Please, if you see blood coming out of my ear, it's probably because my brain has decided to give up and leave, because it's what he says is just so face-palmingly stupid. So anyway, I'm start playing the video, and thank you, Godless Cranium, I think.
Hey guys, Pastor Greg Locke here. So the New York Times drops a ridiculous article that it's unprecedented in human history that because of the overpopulation of the earth, over 1 million animals and plants are going to go extinct. Well, first of all, the world's going to do what the world's going to do, but overpopulation is a leftist pipe dream.
No, it's not. Many scientists have gone, the world is overpopulated. I was hearing the world is overpopulated 15 years ago. This is not a leftist pipe dream. The world is being destroyed by humans. We are considered a pest. If we were to put humans as anything other than humans, we would be considered a pest. We do the same things that a pest does. We destroy the environment, we destroy other species of animals, we manipulate the environment to support us and to benefit us, and we breed excessively, and yeah, all of these are all examples of a pest species. So it's not a leftist pipe dream. Also, do not bring identity politics into science. Do not bring it. That scientists are just reporting on what they're seeing, and they're seeing the imminent destruction of 1 million plants and animals.
Overpopulation of the earth, my hind leg. There's no such thing. That only gives them the ability to push the agenda of euthanizing sick and old people and aborting babies.
Euthanizing old people. I am actually pro-euthanasia, and I am pro-euthanasia because I've worked in aged care. If you've ever seen a person die of dementia, it is one of the more horrible things that I've ever seen. For example, there was a lady that I supported and I looked after, and if you know a little bit about dementia, the most extreme emotions of your life often get repeated in dementia. This woman was gang raped by 9 men when she was younger. So every single time we went to change her pad, she went into a point where she was being gang raped. In my opinion, that is torture. That is cruel and unusual punishment. And because she was never going to get better, I honestly hoped that one day she would just have a heart attack or a stroke. I lost my job before she passed away. She would be dead by now because this was about 10 years ago. I can't see how it's ethical to keep someone who's being gang raped several times a day alive. I've watched people die of motor neuron disease and they're in absolute agony. We wouldn't do that to a dog, and yet we do it to each other, and it's cruel. I believe that people should have a right to be able to say, nah, this is when I go. I don't think it should be up to society to say, no, you're not allowed to go, even that person was crying for death. This is a massive can of worms. It's a huge can of worms. But I am, in extreme circumstances, for euthanasia. In regards to abortion, I also am in pro-choice. If you don't want to have an abortion, that's fine, go for it. But as I said, there was that little girl in Georgia raped by someone, 11 years old, pregnant, and can't have an abortion. And this guy is saying that euthanasia and abortion is worse than losing 1 million species. We might depend on these species. It might not be something that you could think about, but we rely heavily on plankton, because plankton is basically the bottom of the food chain. If plankton crashes, we won't be able to eat. If bees die, we won't be able to eat. We are so connected to our world, and yet people don't realize it.
You know why? You could take all 7 billion people on planet Earth right now, give us all 2 square feet of standing elbow room, and put the whole planet in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, do the math on that, Skippy. In Jacksonville, Florida. All of us. Overpopulation, my hind leg.
Another issue with that is, yes, okay, we all have 2 square feet of standing room, but we all need to eat, we all need to drink, we all need to consume things to survive. That takes up more than 2 feet. I have heard people say that we are taking more land for agriculture than we possibly can. That's why scientists are looking at GMOs. But also, it's not just the physical footprint on the planet. Okay, we'd all be able to fit into Jackson, Florida. However, we need to also look at the things that we rely on for the consumption of our food, electricity, water, that sort of stuff. If you take those into account, we require a lot more land, a huge amount of land.
Let me tell you what is at risk of going extinct. Babies. Babies are going extinct.
Yes, there you go. Ha ha. Evolution for the win, because human babies evidently are going extinct. The extinction of an animal is when all of that species is gone. So that means that human babies are a different species. There you go, creationists. Suck it.
Because we're not standing up and speaking against Planned Parenthood and these bunch of butcher meals in the United States and around the world. Abortion's always been murder. It's murder right now.
Butcher mills. Oh my God. For those of you who don't know, Planned Parenthood, and I'm Australian and I know this, Planned Parenthood is one of the main providers of contraception, sex ed, and cancer treatment for people in America, for poor women in America. They actually save more lives than they do for abortions. Abortions also can save people's lives if a woman has an ectopic pregnancy, if a woman is sick, if she becomes sick because she develops a cancer while she's pregnant and they need to look at curing the cancer, they're going to have to abort the child because it's going to destroy the fetus. There's many, many reasons why abortion can actually save people's lives. Yes, I know it inevitably leads to the abortion of a fetus, but in my opinion, a living, breathing, self-sustaining woman deserves the right to be able to say, no, I do not want to die for my fetus. This is her choice and something that she should be able to take. Pro-life people tend to not want contraception. They don't want women to be able to have decent sex ed. This is just a smokescreen. Protecting the children is really just a smokescreen to say, hey, I don't want women to have control over their bodies.
When you can drop anything you want to in my DM, you can threaten our church, threaten to kill me, my family, blow the church up, whatever.
You know what? I'm going to support him on this. I do not condone violence. I do not think threatening to kill people or blow up churches or anything like that is okay. And if anyone does that, they have my utmost contempt and condemnation. However, I really would like to know how often that happens, because I've got a feeling there's a little bit of projection here. I've got a feeling that there's probably a little bit of an issue in regards to how often he does get death threats, because abortion providers often get death threats. There are abortion providers who have been murdered in churches because they help women get abortions. There have been so many experiences by many people who have had abortions or have gone to an abortion clinic. So before you go on about how evil and awful and dangerous pro-choice activists are, I really think you should probably look at yourself as well.
Abortion's murder?
Abortion isn't murder. It's medical procedure for a person who has full bodily autonomy over themselves. I cannot believe that people are totally fine with allowing a corpse to not donate kidneys, lungs, corneas, or whatever, but they're not okay with a woman saying, I don't want this. I don't want this baby. That corpse has more bodily autonomy than a pregnant woman. A dead person has more bodily autonomy than a pregnant person. And I will repeat this again. A corpse has more bodily autonomy than a pregnant woman. I do not understand how that is acceptable.
If you're a believer and you support abortion, then let me tell you something. You're a murderer at heart and you are not a believer.
I disagree with the first part, not the second part. I am not a believer. I don't believe in God. And if that makes me an evil abortionist, child-killing, awful person, then I can accept that, because I don't think that your aborting mass genocide God is really all that against murder.
I don't give two flips of a wooden nickel about a stupid sea turtle, and I could give a crap about how long the lifespan of a hydrangea rose bush is.
You know what? You should give two flips of a wooden nickel about sea turtles. Not only because they're just the most beautiful animals, like they're incredible, but also because they are a bit of a canary in the coal mine. If sea turtles are dying, that means their predators are also dying. That means that their prey could also be dying or could be overpopulating. And so the entire ecosystem could be out of equilibrium that has existed for millions of years. And that could have ripple-on effects to the point where we as humans get affected. We are not separate from this planet.
You hear me? Babies are at risk, and we have to stand up. It's a bloodbath in America over population. The New York Times ought to go out of business.
The New York Times is allowed to be one of the most accurate and unbiased news outlets in America. I will link a really interesting website below. It's Media Bias Fact Checks. Please check it out. I love this website. Of course, you've also got Snopes. There is accusations of it being a liberal-leaning website, but as far as I can tell, it is very accurate. If this person is watching Fox News, faux news. If this guy is watching Fox News, then I would be highly suspicious of anything he says. Fox News has been known to lie and is almost a propaganda machine, going by the journalistic standards of other areas of the world.
They're nothing but hashtag fake news. What is going extinct is babies.
Again, take that, creationists. Babies are a different species. Yes.
We're killing our own babies. And let me tell you something. The judgment of God will not be on America because apes and zebras go extinct.
I would agree with you on that one. The judgment of God will not be on anyone because God doesn't exist. However, the judgment of our descendants will definitely be on all of us. We are destroying their future.
The judgment of God won't be on America because plastic straws end up shoved into the nose of a sea turtle.
If you haven't seen that video of a plastic straw coming out of a sea turtle's nose, it's awful. I'm going to link it below, but I'm sure most of you have already seen it. It is just awful. And for him to have the lack of empathy for this creature, it's just horrendous. It's just so sad to see that he doesn't find that to be awful. It just, I don't know. I don't understand this guy. I don't understand how he feels that cleaning up the environment is a bad thing. He's more concerned about abortion to cleaning up the environment. If someone is pro-life and also wants to clean up the environment, it's totally compatible. It's a non sequitur what this guy is doing.
But the judgment of God is on America for butchering babies, and you can take that to the bank whether you like my page or not.
I honestly am amazed that people find protecting the environment to be an evil thing. He obviously has no empathy for other living creatures. If he puts the life of one human being above the lives of 1 million species that will never come back because of human activity, I find that morally abhorrent, in my personal opinion. I understand that some people would find a child being born and a child's life being saved to be a more important thing than some random animal you've never seen before in your life going extinct. However, biodiversity is so important for the future of that child. Again, people are ignoring things for the short-term gain. We are continuing to destroy the planet because people want the conveniences of now, ignoring the future of the people that are coming after us. I personally am not going to have a child because I don't want any of my descendants watching their precious, beautiful blue marble to die. I do not think that I can do that to another human being. Anyway, thank you, Godless Cranium, for bringing that to my attention, and also screw you, Godless Cranium, for bringing that to my attention. Please, if you haven't seen him, go check out his channel. He's really good. A lovely guy as well, and I hope that yeah. After seeing that, I don't really have much hope. Anyway, in the meantime, please have a lovely day, evening, night, whatever time that you watch this video. And in the meantime, don't give yourself the raw prawn.